Hey guys, we're talking about alpha, but you know we're not talking about that alpha, we're talking about this alpha. And as we're talking about this alpha, we're talking about it in relationship to the p-value. And as we continue to do this, we need to learn more about alpha. So let's remind ourselves of something quickly. Remember, alpha is a level of significance in which we normally are going to use 0.05. And if we don't have the alpha level, we can easily determine it by looking at our confidence interval, because 1 minus a confidence interval equals the alpha. Also remember that if we are not given the alpha level, or we can't determine it in some way, then that means that it is going to be 0.05 that they use. However, as we look at page 6 of our notes, the question is, how do we choose alpha? Well, there's a couple of questions that have to be asked. How plausible is the HO? Remember, the HO is the null hypothesis. And we look at how plausible, we have to sometimes think about, are we going to be able to get strong evidence in one direction or another? Because we have strong opinions. There's certain biases that just cannot be overcome. And as we are doing that, as we consider our significance level, how high or how low is it going to have to be to make it worthwhile to do the test, to eliminate all the different biases? The other situation is, what are the consequences of rejection? Well, is it going to be more expensive if we reject it? Are we going to need stronger evidence? You know, if you're going to spend thousands of millions of dollars on something, and you have, and you're going to end up rejecting a claim, is it really going to be strong enough with a certain p-value for that company to be willing to spend that type of money? So as we look at it, the criteria is often subjective, but remember, in most cases they use 0.05. Now, as we go from the idea of alpha to another objective, which is our type 1, type 2 error. We all make mistakes. And with the mistake, like if we're talking about the justice system, how many of people are found guilty because there was a preponderance of evidence to help them that showed that they were guilty when the reality is they were not guilty. So that takes me to errors. A type 1 error is that we reject the HO, but the reality is that it's true. I like to refer to this as TIZO, Tyro, RO. Type 1, reject the HO. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to come up with a situation that talks about type 1 versus type 2. As a matter of fact, let's just do it now. I need you guys to take a moment to write down a scenario. Squeeze it down there under where you see your type 2. You're not going to need all this room. So right here where you see this. The example is, as you can see, we have a restaurant. So we have a drive-through window, and this manager has established that it takes that 63% of the time customers have to wait 2 minutes or longer. Now, that is what the true population proportion is. But his conjecture is, well, that's not acceptable. Customers don't want to wait. So we want to reduce it, and we want to hire more people. So as we reduce it, as I scan out of this, the whole premise is here to reduce, he hires more people. So let's look at what our type 1 is going to be in this case. Our type 1, which is the tyro, is that we're going to reject the HO, but oops, we should not have. Okay? We rejected the HO and we supported the HA. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay? So with this one, there's evidence to support customers' wait time is longer than 2 minutes, that it's not longer than 2 minutes anymore, when the reality is, it is. Because remember, we rejected the HO, we support the H. So I will say it again, because the video cut off, so sorry. Here, tyro, we reject the HO by accident and supported the HA. So that means that we reject that it is no longer 63% and that there is a true reduction in customers' wait time. But the reality is that's not true. Okay, so here, as we look at this, we have hired the people, thinking that hiring the people actually did reduce the wait time, and we just wasted our money. Well, he just wasted his money, it says company. Okay, so as you can see here, we wasted money, unneeded employees. So that is the type 1, the tyro. We reject the HO, and it's a oops, we should not have. We should not have supported the HA, because remember, if you reject the HO, you end up supporting the HA. That's a type 1 and its consequences. Now let's scroll back up here. And then let's see what a type 2 error is. A type 2 error is that we failed to reject, and I'm just going to put a tiny up here, support. There's evidence to support the HO, but we should not have. So we support the HO, but the HA is true. Now let's go back to our situation in terms of the restaurant. Oh, let me show you a way how I remember this. It's called TIZO. Type 2, support for the S, the HO. And of course, there's both a oops. Okay, now let's go back to this word problem. Here, remember, the whole premise is that for a type, let's look at our hypothesis test. Our HO is that it's going to be 63% wait longer than 2 minutes. But our HA says no, that there is a reduction. So is our type 2. Remember, it's TIZO. That we support the HO. We support that there has been no reduction. There's no evidence that the time was reduced, but it is. So we hired these people. We reduced the time, so he thought. Okay, so here that means we're going to get slower service and we may lose customers. Not only that, he thinks that he has solved the problem and that the wait time has truly not changed, that it has not reduced. So the premise is if I hire somebody with the understanding that it's going to reduce it and it hasn't, if I were him, I would let him go. So we're going to lose customers, and those people that I hired to reduce it, I'm going to lay them off because I didn't see that there was any difference with them being there. So that is the difference between type 1 and type 2. I know this takes some time, so we're going to be working on it again a lot tomorrow. So as we look at this particular problem right here, I want you guys to take a moment to write this down. This is what we've been discussing right now. Here we have, when you have your null hypothesis is true, but you fail to reject it, okay, that means that's true, it's true and you support it. So that's a good thing. So I'll say it again, you supported the HO and it's true, good thing. But the type 1 is when you say the HO is true, but you say it's not. That's when a type 1 occurs. That is the tyro. Now let's go over here and look at when I can get this correct conclusion. This is when I believe that my alternative hypothesis, my HA, is true, which means I rejected the HO. Well, isn't that true? If I reject the HO, there's evidence to support the HA. Well, that's my true conclusion. But as we look here at our type 2 error, the type 2 error occurs when I think my alternative is correct, okay? But the bottom line is I sit here and I support my null hypothesis. So let's think about this. I'm saying here that both my alternative hypothesis is correct and I'm supporting that my null hypothesis is correct. Well, how does that work that both of them are correct? Nope, you can't. That is type 2. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be doing many problems with this situation. And we're going to finish up this problem number 18. I was going to do it on tape, but we will be doing it in class. Okay, have fun. This stuff is tough, and I will see you in the morning. Bye-bye.